Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of The Gavel, featuring attorney Anna Toledo. Ms. Toledo is the senior attorney and general counsel to Targeted Justice. She has a background in constitutional and environmental law and is an experienced litigator, including 2 cases at the U.S. Supreme Court. And here's Ms. Toledo.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this new episode, Thanksgiving episode of The Gavel, a podcast focused on bringing to you the latest news on the developments regarding our quest for freedom from government weaponization. As you know, a gavel is traditionally used to call the attention of something important that is happening. And that's exactly the goal that I have in this podcast, that I prepare with a lot of dedication and love for this dear community. I'm your host, Ana Toledo, and I am a litigator with 30 years experience. My expertise is in First Amendment, environmental law, and civil rights. I have, for the past 2.5 years, actually 3 years, I have been fighting for freedom from government weaponization and the illegal, unacknowledged special access program that has taken so much from so many of us. Like you, I am a victim of government weaponization. So I know there is nothing you can tell me that I don't already know in terms of how horrific the torture and the suffering you have had to go through. My heart goes out to each and every one of you, and that's why I have relocated to Washington, D.C. to fight this good fight in person. Ana is here to fight for all of you and for freedom. This week we're celebrating, many of you are celebrating Thanksgiving, and I want to bring you a message, not just of the traditional Thanksgiving that everybody celebrates, but I want to share with you that as I walk, I'm starting, and I will conclude with this because I have a very good story for you. Stay for the end because I have a really beautiful story to share with you. But see, one of the ways that I practice gratitude is that, as I have already told you, that my dad couldn't walk. Well, when I walk, when I run, when I exercise, when I used to go to the gym and I was doing really, really hard exercise, I would be saying, thank you, God, thank you, God. When I would swim, I would be saying, thank you, God for my hands. Thank you, God, for my limbs. Thank you, God, for being healthy. Thank you. When I see a beautiful tree or the beautiful sky, I say, thank you, God, for my eyes with which I can see your miracles. And when you go into that habit, life becomes easier, because you are in a constant state of gratitude. So prior to this week's news, I want to share with you the passage that I wanted to read from the Bible, which is, Lord and King, you have made the heavens and the earth by your great power and outstretched arm. Nothing is too hard for you, nothing. And this is very relevant to what I'm doing here, because there's a lot of mind control naysayers saying that, nah, you can't expose it. You can't shut it down. Well, to all of those naysayers that are going around in social media trying to discourage you from putting your heart into this, I tell you the following, that there is nothing impossible for God, and you know that. That's why the word miracles exists. And every day as I walk around, I just ask for my miracles, and miracles do happen. I just say, God, show me my miracle. Show me my miracle. And they do happen every day. And in this context, I want to tell you just a very short story, which when I discovered that I was targeted in Puerto Rico, I called a professor that was very fond of me, a Columbia University professor. He was a very powerful man. This is a man that had shaken the hands of many presidents and of around the world, and for whom the red carpet was rolled out. And I called him because I said, if anybody can help me, is this man who was, he had come to Puerto Rico and I had taken him around with his family. And after he did his, digging around, he called me back and said, what is there left to be done? If it had been any other person, not the daughter of my mom and my dad, I would have just, gone into a deep depression and fought back. But that's not what Ana Toledo did. I fought back. I refused to accept that judgment of what is there to be done. Those words still echo in my head, because one day I will go knock on his door and say, look at what was there to be done. I shut this down. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it with your help. And obviously with the help of Targeted Justice and Richard Lighthouse and the fabulous Dr. Len Baer, who is doing an incredible job. So having said that, let's go for the wonderful news that we have this week. Remember just always that we cannot see through the eyes of man. We have to see through the eyes of God, who knows it all. So if God be for us, who can be against us, right? So take your negativity, shove it away. And anybody that comes to me with negativity, know that I will block you or mute you, because I don't have time for that. Now, please share, like, and subscribe. It's important that you like our broadcast because it helps us with the censorship. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps us little by little. It helps us. So please share, like, and subscribe. I'm not going to talk about, for example, the dismissal of the Comey indictment, because that's a procedural matter. It's not on its merits. It was without prejudice. DOJ is already appealing it, and if the Court of Appeals denies it, which they have to do within the next 6 months, get on going, because it's 6 months away from the statute of limitations of running on that, and I am sure that Ms. Bondi, if anything, she will try hard. If anything, people around her will try to get it done. Well, so I'm not going to dedicate time for it, because to me that's just a procedural insignificant thing. But let's go for the exposure. Remember, when we expose this program, it stops being covert. It will cease to exist. Well, this week, a new video has emerged of DeCarlos Brown. You might remember, he is the man that had been arrested many times for many crimes, and he ended up stabbing the Ukrainian woman on a train. Well, his sister has been saying, and I have discussed it here before, that he told her, among the many things he said, that he had some artifacts in his body that made him do things, and also that he thought the woman was reading his thoughts. So this week we have this new unveiled video, and I hope you can hear it well. Let me just play it for you, because this, his attorneys or maybe the prosecutors have moved for a year from now, whether or not he will face death penalty. So listen to this.
My body got exposed to material that I need you guys to investigate, due to the fact that medic ain't got no test or scan to investigate what my body got exposed to. And I've been doing this for like 3 years now.
What'd your body get exposed to?
Huh?
What'd your body get exposed to?
You guys have to investigate the name of the material to fix my emergency.
What was it?
Huh?
What was it?
That's what I'm trying to give to you.
I don't want to get exposed to the material. What if it's on the paper?
No, it explains a little bit about the material to fix my emergency.
Well, what is it? What is your understanding of it?
It was authorized for a human body. It had to be, I'm pretty sure it wasn't created in somebody's tub. And I'm pretty sure it's authorized to help the human. And one of the special things about this material is you communicate to the human, like clearly, like even better than the phone. Promise you.
Who gave you this?
Somebody committed a crime and exposed me with it without my permission or authorization.
There you have it. He says this material can communicate through the human. It's for those of us, when you know, he clearly is a V2K victim. And this is a January 2025 welfare check that the police did on him. So a police officer asked him if he had ever been diagnosed with an illness. And he answered, they tried to diagnose me with schizophrenia, but what the FCK is that? He told the officer. He clearly doesn't know about microwave auditory effect and the torture that he is subject to. I'm not saying he's completely innocent. What I'm saying is that his attorneys need to investigate and demand in his Brady materials what is hidden in the FBI prohibited access and restricted access files, just as any one of you that has ever been accused of any crime, because we know that that's where they hide the nomination forms. And while this man has violent conduct, he does not necessarily have reasonable suspicion to be declared a terrorist. And that's why I think they postponed for a year his death penalty or his capital punishment hearing. So if any of you wants to take it upon yourself to find out who his attorneys are and write to them and tell them to muster the courage so that they can help hundreds of thousands of victims of this torture tactic, be my guest. It takes one warrior to get this exposed. That's why so many of us are doing it. So this is really important because, like the Kentucky man, James Gleason, that just last month killed his neighbor, saying that he was torturing with directed energy weapons, and Stephen Marlowe in Ohio, for whom the schizophrenia medication doesn't work. We need to put it before Congress that it is the CIA pulling the trigger. It is not these people. These people are just their puppets. And we need to shut down the criminals of the CIA. So it is very tragic that these crimes are happening, but they only give support to our position that Tulsi Gabbard has to rein in on the intelligence community, just like Donald J. Trump ordered her with the executive order asking that she investigate the abuses. That's a word, the abuses by the intelligence community. So now the second this is a really important initiative I want to share with you. The Mr. Mike Davis of Article 3 Project has created a platform where you can demand from your congressman to impeach Judge Boasberg. And why does this matter? Let me show you where it is. The link is in the show notes. So please, I need you all to write to your congressman, and this is how it's done. And let me share you this screen here. So Mr. Davis, who you might remember, he very successfully had the people in Congress remove the absolute waiver or protection to AI development. He got 3,000 people. He got 3,000 people to write in. Well, now in his Article 3 project, he has one tab where you can go take action. You tell the Congress people that you want Boasberg impeached. So you click in take action, and there you will see you act now, you put your information in there, you want the impeachment. And here he has already the text written, but I suggest that you click on here on the little pencil and you add what I have included in the show notes, that you can go there and say, and add your, here, you can add, aside from the senators and Congress people whose Fourth Amendment rights Judge Boasberg disregarded, we urge you to investigate how many FISA warrants he granted and renewed for the same person without reasonable suspicion or criminal predicate, without demanding accountability from the deep state operatives at the FBI. Year after year, he consistently signed off on 99% of the 278,000 applications brought before him without so much as questioning the legitimacy or motivation of the FBI criminals illegally spying on innocent Americans that did not meet the reasonable suspicion criteria. Remember, this is up to us to do this. We need to get active. It doesn't cost you anything. But it puts in the minds of these Congress people that I want to go visit that this person needs to be impeached because he blindly signed off the FISA warrants on you and renewed them over and over every year. That is how they spied on your emails and your social media and your phone calls. And he never bothered to ask the FBI, wait a minute, haven't you renewed this 10 times here with me? And you haven't found any criminal activity by this person? No, I'm not going to sign that again. No, he continued doing it. That is why it's so important that you reach out to your congressperson. Okay? We cannot just sit back and not do anything. Doesn't matter if they hurt you a little bit more. Would you rather spend the entire of your life hurting? No. Okay? So please do something today to end your targeting. Participate in the Article 3 project. Mike Davis did the work for you. All you have to do is go in there and demand accountability. Okay? I made for you the paragraph. You can edit it to your situation. You can remove some of what it says there. Obviously, always being elegant and not putting bad words or anything like that, because that, anytime you go on social media using bad words and cussing and cursing and doing saying bad words, you know what? That speaks badly of you, not of the person that you're speaking badly. So take that in. Hi, thank you, Justo. I need the blessings and I need the prayers. Keep them coming. Keep them coming because we need them. Okay, so, and this Judge Boasberg, FYI, he was the chief judge of the FISA court. Okay, I'm absolutely certain he has signed many of your FISA warrants. Okay, so the next news that are relevant to us is that the Epstein files release was signed into law, and supposedly before December, in 30 days, before December 19th, the files are supposed to be released. But of course, we have the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, who, let me remind you, I know I've reminded you before, but I need to remind you again, because come the time, whoever is that has him is his constituent, you should vote against this man, because he is the one, the deciding vote in favor of Section 702 FISA. Without Section 702, the government criminals would not have it so easy, making our lives difficult, because they would not be able to spy and like, as soon as you send an email, block it, because they're already seeing what you're writing. You see that this is why Section 702 is so crucial to this program, and why it is so important that we fight it tooth and nail when it comes now for renewal in April of 2026. Well, what happens here is that now they put a loophole in the release of the Epstein files saying that they're going to release everything. They're going to redact the names of the victims, but they're not going to redact. They're not going to give out anything that has to do with national security. And I have to ask you, this is a bogus loophole, and I'm going to prove it to you, for hiding information. Because Mike Johnson went around going, oh, national security. Blackmail by a Mossad operative, like it has already been known that Epstein was a CIA and Mossad operative, does not amount to national security. No, I'm sorry. Because the Supreme Court of the United States has stated the following. In the case U.S. versus Reynolds, you can look it up, 345 United States 1 from 1953, the Supreme Court expressed that the only reason that justifies invoking national security as an obstacle to produce information is through the state secrets privilege. The court held that this privilege requires that the party invoking it, the government, prove that there is reasonable danger that the disclosure of the documents or information would expose military matters which in the interest of national security should not be divulged. I do not understand how the blackmail of Prince Andrew or former Prime Minister of Israel in any way expose military matters that should not be divulged in the interest of national security. Furthermore, on September 23 of 2009, the Attorney General of the United States, Eric Holder, issued a memorandum establishing the policy and the criteria under which you can invoke the national security. I will tell you why. You're going to think, well, what does that have to do with this? Has to do everything with us. Because in the Privacy Act request that all of you, I hope all of you are sending the FBI and the DHS, well, they're going to invoke national security. And I'm going to show you what we're going to write in this appeal because it's not applicable. Let me share with you here what are its very narrow exceptions. Okay. These exceptions were written out by Eric Holder, who was the Attorney General under Obama. He said, I am issuing today the new Department of Justice policies and administrative procedures that would provide greater accountability and reliability in the evocation of the state's secret privilege in litigation, which means when you invoke the national security. The department is adopting these policies and procedures to strengthen public confidence in the U.S. government. Now, I have in the show notes, I think I put them in the show notes, but I have them here for those of you that are interested in seeing what these policies are. I have them here. Let me show you. Here it is, national security. See, here it is. Memorandum of when this narrow tailoring should be invoked only to the extent necessary to protect against the risk of significant harm in national security. Okay, so this is part of the documents that I discovered as in the context of TJV Garland, which, you know, I love it because I learned so much. That is the great thing about being an attorney, that you just every day you're forced to learn. So when they come with this story of national security, well, that's one of the arguments that we're going to invoke. And please do not miss Melissa's Chosen Heroes on Sunday. I'm going to be there and I'm going to be talking about the private, aside from the effort here in DC, I'm going to be talking about the very important Privacy Act requests and the appeals that they're already denying, and I'm going to prepare for you a format of an appeal, and I'm going to discuss it in Melissa's show on Sunday. So do not miss it, please. So the burden is very high, and it's just, you know, obviously what we're focused on eventually is ending up in court, because we know that the FBI is not going to come clean and provide your nomination form of the criminals that put you on the illegal list, hidden lists. So the important thing is that we are one step in front of the other. Okay. Now, so let's hope that Pam Bondi does her homework. If not, I'm going to send her this so she gets it. That she cannot just invoke national security just like that to prevent the production of these documents that it was a campaign promise, and everybody has been. I don't even care anymore, because I think that they're going to be so redacted that they're going to probably be useless. But for those that want to continue insisting on it. Anyways, we have good news also coming from Ron Johnson and Chuck Grassley. More documents continue to be exposed, to continue to be released regarding the operation of the deep state Democrats targeting Republicans in Congress. This email, the interesting part about this email is that if you look at the date, it's May 16, 2023, more than 2 years after January 6 had happened in 2021. So this was clearly a witch hunt perpetrated after Donald J. Trump announced he would run for presidency. So then they went out and said, let's see how we abuse the tools we have, the weapons we have, to make these people, try to set them up into crimes, right? So we have that. This email. They said, let's see if we can get data for 20 days, subscriber information, and call SMS record for additional senators and congressmen like Ron Johnson, Mike Lee, Tommy Tuberville, Marsha Blackburn, Haggerty, Tim Scott, Loomis, Dan Lovan, and John Kennedy. Looking to extend it to Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, Perry, and Gomer. Lindsey Graham, Jim Jordan. So now Jim Jordan is he's all offended that they were spying on him. Excuse me? We have been telling him about the spying on innocent Americans, and he could not have cared less. Anyways, so Chuck Grassley continues to expose these memos, and these are, again, important for us because these come from the prohibited access and restricted access files. They cannot now say that we're not going to look in there for you in the Sentinel. No, because the Privacy and FOIA Act says all agency files, not the ones that they decide to look in. So this is good. This is in our quest for ending government weaponization. These are good news, because these people now are going to be really upset that they were spying on them. And the DOJ man was after them. He admits that there was a low likelihood that any of those members would be prosecuted. So there was a low likelihood that they would even ever find out. Okay. Now, remember last week I brought you, and I didn't know what it was about, the video of the 6 Congress people that were saying, disobey orders, disobey whatever. Well, it turns out that they're being investigated for insurrection, because really they have gone in the media saying, no, we didn't know of any illegal orders. We just told them to disobey orders, but we didn't know that they had been given any illegal orders. Well, yeah, that's insurrection. And that's exactly what they are. Let me show you what they're looking to prosecute them and court-martial one of them, who is an active Navy person. After this video, I'm gonna tell you what Slot King, who is the organizer of the whole video said.
Single so-called illegal order, it just proves the point. It's a general call for rebellion from the CIA, plainly, directly, without question. And when you have one of the lawmakers on that video being unable to state in, as you say, lengthy cross-examination, a single so-called illegal order, it just proves the point. It's a general call for rebellion from the CIA and the armed services of the United States by Democrat lawmakers, saying that you have not only the right but the duty and the obligation to defy orders of the commander-in-chief, that those who carry weapons in America's name should defy their chain of command and engage in open acts of insurrection, that the CIA, the clandestine service, which isn't even legally authorized to operate in the United States, should engage in, again, acts of rebellion and insurrection. These lawmakers should honestly resign in disgrace and never return to public office again for even daring to think, let alone to say these words and to say them proudly. But it shows what a dangerous moment we're in. We have seen the Democratic Party nurse the flames of violence and insurrection against the federal government for the last 10 months. When you see this continuous campaign of violence against ICE officers and Border Patrol agents, when you see Democrat sanctuary politicians and Democrat sanctuary governors side with the rioters, side with the assaulters over federal law enforcement, and that spills even into juries and grand juries, when you see Democrat jurors engage in nullification to let off violent attackers who are engaging in physical violence, physical assault against federal officers.
I totally I like this guy so much. I like Stephen Miller so much. But let me play you the one that is my favorite one that he, which is this one.
In the United States should engage in, again, acts of rebellion. The CIA, the clandestine service, which isn't even legally authorized to operate in the United States, should engage in, again, acts of rebellion and insurrection.
There you go. The CIA, that is not even legally authorized to operate in the United States. So you have to wonder, why haven't they pulled the plug on the Denver domestic operations, the clown show of criminals that torture little girls, grandmothers, and torture you? That is what we're going for. And I'm going to meet Stephen Miller. I know I'm going to put it in my heart. I'm going to meet him and I want to work with him to shut down these criminals. So these legislators, congressmen, senators, they're in trouble because they are really calling for an insurrection. It's not what we advocate for, which is Space Force traitors do not fire directed energy weapons at innocent civilians because those are crimes against humanity. That's a separate, different thing. Because it's like, the soldiers under Hitler. They had a choice. It was not a defense that they were following orders. But in this case, it's different because these people could not enumerate a single order that is illegal. They are just calling for a general insurrection, and that's completely illegal and should not be tolerated. Aside from the fact that they're all deep staters, they're from the CIA, Navy, from everything. So anyways, now my mom used to, I'm going to go to the next one. I'm sorry, I'm taking a little, I try to limit it to 30 minutes, but I'm so happy you're here, and please stay because I have a really good story to tell you for Thanksgiving. And I'm just going to cover one more thing. And it's my mom used to say, well, no, a couple more things. Sorry about that. My mom used to say that not everything that shines is gold, right? And I'm going to show you something that is exactly one of them, which is that The Guardian this week had an article saying that mind-altering weapons are no longer only science fiction. Okay, so many thought that this was good news because they're exposing the brain weapons. And while it's good in the sense that, yeah, it stops, it takes out the tinfoil hat from the the concept of, yeah, these weapons, sophisticated and deadly brain weapons, exist that can attack or alter human consciousness, perception, memory, or behavior, are no longer stuff of science fiction. Granted, this is great. However, you have to be very careful, because the message in this article is that it's China and Russia doing it. The US, Soviet Union, and China all actively sought to develop CNS acting weapons. That's all I had to read. They are coming with this narrative because the Guardian, that is, the British, the M16 and the CIA are wings of the, from the same bird. So you have to be very careful with the stuff you promote, because we don't want to promote that it's China and Russia. We know exactly who is doing it. And it's not China and Russia who is targeting you. So I think that the Guardian is severely compromised, and we just have to take with tweezers what they say. Now, many of you watched in frustration how on May 8th of 2024, the anomalous health incidents hearing, the 3 witnesses could not answer if there were civilian victims of Havana syndrome. So that is one of the goals of Dr. Len Bear, to expose the fact that I personally think there is an epidemic in this nation, but that there are civilian victims, and that is what he has been documenting with his civilian registry. Well, just yesterday I published in my Mira, the link is in the show notes, that I am asking for those of you that don't form part of the civilian registry but have been diagnosed with Havana syndrome to provide me with an affidavit attesting to that. That does not mean that you will be automatically included in the Havana syndrome registry by Dr. Bear. That is your decision for you to decide whether you want to be part of it or not, which I totally endorse, because it's a thorough document that it's got credibility, it's got undeniable information, and it would be a great tool to expose the epidemic in this nation. But having said that, even if you have not and do not want to participate in the registry, I urge you to send me a sworn statement saying, yes, I was diagnosed. And please, I took the risk of putting the email where you would have to send a document that I prepared. And I did it with, let me show you that I shared the link. I did it with the intention of fighting for freedom for all of us. Okay, here, this is the form that I have, the statement under penalty of perjury, that I put the link, and the link is in the show notes. Okay, this is for you to put your name, address, and email address. And it basically says, I was on or about this year, I started experiencing neurostrikes, and on or about this year, I was diagnosed with Havana syndrome. Please do not write to me if you have not been diagnosed by a physician as being a Havana syndrome victim. Please. No person that is not a medical doctor can diagnose Havana syndrome on you. No one. The person has to be a licensed medical doctor. So please do not fill out and send me this document if you don't have that, because you would be perjuring yourself. because it is saying in there that I was diagnosed with Havana syndrome by, and then you have to put the name. An organization or a non-doctor does not diagnose for Havana syndrome. So I am asking that the more evidence we can bring to these people that are going to meet with us in Congress, the better it is for all of you. All of us want to shut down this program. And if we can prove the numbers of the civilians that have Havana syndrome, that is something that is going to benefit you as a patient and the entire community, even those that have not been diagnosed yet. Because remember, we are going to be asking NIH to issue diagnostic guidance. We're already asking, Dr. Len Bear already sent that petition. We're going to be asking the CDC to investigate the cases of civilians in the United States. So this is one step in front of the other. Do not think that, oh, just because you don't get this opportunity now to submit, I want to submit my evidence. No, everything has to happen in the time of God. Okay, this is one first step that we need to do it, and we need to do it right. Okay. So please, only those of you that have actually been diagnosed, make an effort, do the affidavit and send it to me under confidential. It is my commitment to you that I will only share it. It will only be for the eyes of the people in the congressional buildings that are meeting with us. That is my promise to you. Now, I am going to the prayer warriors. Please keep us in your prayers. Next week is a really important week for this community. I urge you to cover me and to cover Richard. Richard is going to be coming from Houston to cover us in your prayers, because we really, and your prayers is protect us and put in our minds and in our mouths the perfect words that will move the hearts, and to cover those people that are meeting with us, and to cover them with the grace of God and move their hearts and their compassion into not being prejudiced and listen to the evidence we have to bring before them. So don't forget that my fundraising campaign, it's ongoing. I am, as I said, I am minimum gonna stay here for 6 months, but and I am counting on you, and thank you for all of you. I had on Monday a gratitude Zoom call, and thank you for all of you that participated. And I just have to say, I am humbled. I am humbled by the support that you have given me, because it only fuels my desire to work 7 days a week. I don't even know what day. I know today's Wednesday because I'm here with you, but I actually don't even know what day it is, because I don't stop working and preparing for this mission. So please, for those of you that can contribute, I urge you to do so, because I don't want to have to worry about this. I want to fully concentrate on doing the work I came here to do. Now, for those that ask me about Minister Jerome information, it's in the show notes, the links and his phone number to his phone conference calls. Please look at them. If you don't have them in the show notes, for example, on X or whatever, go look at them in Rumble. And in there, it's his phone number. And he has a very beautiful prayer call. He has two every day, and on Sundays at 9 a.m. Eastern time. So please, I urge you to join in. It's very beautiful, and it's very powerful, more than anything. Now, before leaving, please don't leave until I tell you this beautiful Thanksgiving story. I wanted to tell you a story about gratitude and giving thanks as I started this podcast, which is, when I wake up in the morning, thank you, God, for another day that you grant me. And this is a story about an exceptional woman that now, in hindsight, which is always 2020, I know she was a targeted individual, but she didn't know it, and I didn't know it either. Her name was Leslie. She had become an adopted daughter of old San Juan. She moved there over 20 years ago. She was elegant. And she took it upon herself to start what it's called Save Agato, which is an organization that captures cats, neuters them, and sets them back free. In Old San Juan, the cat population is very important because there are many tunnels and old aqueducts, and there is combined sewage. So yeah, that's gross, but it's a it's a long story. Anyways, so there's a lot of mice and rats, and the cats are an integral part of Old San Juan to keep the rat population at bay. So they would cut the tip of the ear of the cats that they would neuter. Leslie, she was a beautiful, gorgeous woman. She was free and elegant as the cats that she took care of. She was always slender, clad in white pants and a pinstripe shirt, like a seersucker shirt, like a blue Oxford shirt. And she had red ballerina shoes. And she graciously pranced around the cobble streets of Old San Juan looking after the feline population. She had a small red pickup truck that she always had crates to carry back and forth to the vet, the cats that would get neutered, and she would pay for it. The story I heard is that she had a divorce or was in the process of divorcing her very wealthy husband. So she had a honeypot, and a honeypot that was placed on her, and he attempted against her life. When she tried to kick him out of her house, he fought with her. She fought back fiercely, and he hit her in the head, and there was blood everywhere. And even though she was not my friend, the moment I learned about it, I took it upon myself to collect money, buy her the necessities, because they took her to the Puerto Rico Medical Center. She was in the neurological intensive care unit. And I collected money. I bought her towels, soap, and the necessities that people have. That happened 14 years ago. She was left unconscious. The guy left her to die. The police in Puerto Rico did not bother. This is how I also know she was targeted. They didn't bother investigating the guy and putting him in jail. They let him free. Without any relatives, nobody bothered to badger the policeman that did the investigation. Even though she was not my friend, I visited her every day at the hospital. I would bring some of the friends from Old San Juan. I saw how this once beautiful woman bloated up with the IVs, and she had one of those, she had a Foley catheter, and she had like a urine bag, of course, because she couldn't move. They maintained her unconscious because of the swelling in her brain. So when I saw her there, I realized my mom every morning, she would say, "Oh my God, it's so great to be." And I realized how we take for granted our bodies, being able to be independent, being able to walk, even if our health has been a little bit compromised or a lot bit compromised by these criminals, but we can still take care of our bodies and take care of ourselves. And I just tell you this because, life is so precious, and God has been so good to us, even as targets. Being on rock bottom is the way that we have an opportunity to flourish. So instead of being depressed or pessimistic, I want you to give optimism and gratitude a chance, because this is the week to do it, right? For the rest of the people, I do it every day. But I really urge you, because you never know. We're here today, might not be here tomorrow. So let's just be grateful and make the best of our days. Let's leave the slander aside. Let's leave the criticism. Let's all work together to shut down this program, because together we can do it. So that was my message for you. That was the beautiful Leslie. I did the program. We did a beautiful ceremony for her. And I know she's up there in kitty heaven, taking care of the kitties. So thank you so much for being here today. And I look forward to having you next week. I hope I have good news for you. And keep up the spirits, because I think we will shut down this program. I promise you that. I'm not leaving the city until we do it. So thank you for being here. And thank you, Mike. Your prayers are very much welcome and appreciated. We really need them. Thank you, and see you next week. Have a nice and beautiful Thanksgiving.